Time to fight fear with faith. Jody Paar is a survivor who is no longer staying silent. She and her guest will fuel you up so you too can fight fear, uplifting and inspirational stories that will rock you to your core. We don't tiptoe around the truth, we steamroll it in a bold way. This is your life, and now is the time to start living it. Get ready for the Faith Over Fear podcast with Jody Paar. Now, welcome Jody Paar to inspire you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Faith Over Fear. I am Jody Paar. I am super stoked about the courageous, amazing woman that I have on today. Her name is Bryn. She has a story that will literally rock you to your core. It is a story of survival. It is a story of overcoming. It is a story of getting through those obstacles that come in your way. And guys, this is a story that I believe a lot of you are going to relate to. This is a story that some of you have been beating yourself up about, that you think that you're alone in the battles and the struggles that you're going through. And she's going to show you that that is not the case. So I'm super excited to turn this over to Bryn. Hi, good morning, Bryn. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. So Bryn, a lot of times what I want to do is just start back from the beginning. So can you tell us where it all started?
Oh, it started when I was born. I came out sunny side up and they had to turn me, which created a lot of birth trauma. I had severe issues with my eyes and with my legs. I had to wear braces as a kid. I had to have several eye surgeries. I had an umbilical hernia under the age of 2.
Wow.
And miraculously, God completely restored my vision. He restored my legs through chiropractic care. And even though while I was growing up and my parents were struggling in their marriage, my dad had mental illness. I didn't know he was sick for the longest time, but I always walked on eggshells, not knowing, what his mood was. He wasn't able to really express love. And by 12 years old, my parents got divorced. My mom and I moved away. I struggled to fit in, and in my new place at school, I ended up getting involved in the wrong crowd, started drinking heavily, smoking at 14, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Wow.
And ended up getting involved in a crowd where one of the people there started to sexually abuse me. And I was so just, I needed to get out of that situation. And I put myself in alcohol rehab, told I didn't need to be there, that I was abusing alcohol but not dependent. So I left and came back and was sober for a year, and then started drinking again. And fast forward a couple of years, I lost my dad to suicide. We found out on Christmas Eve of '92. And that completely rocked my world. I was completely numb, and a couple of years later, I became pregnant and chose not to have the baby. The man at the time that I was with told me he wasn't going to marry me anyway, didn't want anything to do with it. That was incredibly painful.
Right.
If I could take that back, I absolutely would in a heartbeat. After that, and there was actually, when I was 17, I was robbed and held at gunpoint, and thank the good Lord, I was okay. I had a friend at the very same time praying for me.
Got chill bumps, girl. Got chill bumps.
Yeah, it was crazy cool.
Wow.
Walked away from that situation not hurt. The guys went to jail for 25 years. God completely redeemed that situation. And when I was 18, 19, 20, something like that, I decided to go to school, got involved in a ministry, recommitted my life to Christ. At 14, I had first accepted but fell away, and recommitted my life. When I was 23, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and had a psychotic break, and was taken to a hospital against my will. And that was absolutely probably one of the darkest times in my life. So depressed I couldn't get out of bed. I'd crawl out of bed. I would lay in the shower And somehow, and I know it was God, I got up every day and went to my classes. And that was the last year of college, and I made it through. And I graduated with a bachelor's degree, came back a couple years later. I think I was 25 or 26. God put it on my heart to go to grad school, and that was the most disrupting time in my life, probably. And wow, that's where I started to really understand what my calling was. Graduated with my master's degree, moved from Washington State all the way to Mississippi. First job after graduating was in a state hospital.
Wow.
And my heart, my compassion, my love for people who struggled with what I struggled with became very apparent. And I went on to work several jobs there. My mom had gotten married to someone when I was 15 who was very verbally abusive, and I never wanted her to marry him, but that became her life and kind of put me and my brother to the side. So our relationship together had been falling apart. My brother was an alcoholic for years, and him and I weren't close. Mm-hmm. But yet they were at a really low point in their life, homeless, jobless. They came to live with me in Mississippi. And that began a whole new reconciliation for us. We moved to Arizona, and ever since then, I've just been growing in my faith and in my life. And God has never, ever left me or forsaken me. And fast forward, years later, here I am, have this whole new focus of, wanting to be, and I will be a public speaker. I will be an inspirational speaker.
Yes.
I'm in the process right now of writing my book. I will be done by my birthday, which is the end of May. I will be turning that into a coaching program, either online or otherwise. I will be doing seminars and retreats, and finally, I will be on stage someday.
Yes.
And I'm talking to an audience or audiences all over the world.
Yes, and I love that. And Bryn, it's so true that it's almost like, do you remember those rides back in the carnival would come to town? I lived in a small town in Mississippi, as you know, and they'd have the fair come to town, and they had the scrambler. Do you remember the scrambler?
I do.
Okay,
yes.
Right? Because that's how I feel a lot of times in life. That's how it is. Like, you get to that point where it's like you stop and everything is great, and then all of a sudden it just jerks you in another direction, and then you're swinging from one direction to another. And I love what's so beautiful about that is the fact that all of the darkness that you went through and all of the different things that you overcome, like, that God was right there with you. Your guardian angels were right there with you. And even in my path of, oh my goodness, when I was on a really dark path as well, doing things, drugs, alcohol, things I knew I shouldn't be doing, God was protecting me during those times. And just like you said, people are praying for you. So what is something that you would like to say to a listener or a person maybe watching that is in that spot where you were? Let's just say it's a 14 or 15-year-old girl or boy, and they're broke. They were raised in a broken home, and they don't feel loved. They don't feel appreciated. They don't feel like they're good enough, and they just need some advice because they are turning to drugs and alcohol, and they just need to know something. What would be that something that you would say to them?
First and foremost, I would say reach out to anyone in your life that you have a glimpse of being able to trust or being able to be safe with. And really, when somebody tells you that they see something in you, when they see potential, when they see something special, listen to them and really take it in. Don't discount it. I can tell you certain people in my life that, looking back, I know they were praying for me. I know that they saw something in me, and they weren't gonna let me go through life without knowing that. They took a risk, and they stepped out, and they shared that with me. And let me tell you, you never know who's going to cross your path, and you never know how someone's going to impact you.
Right.
And I would just say to kids, don't give up. Don't lose sight of your dreams, and let people around you share Christ's love. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's really good. And I think that it's important too. A lot of times, kids especially will go and tell someone that something's happening to them, and they tell them to be quiet and not to tell anybody and not to say anything about that. And I want to stress to anyone listening that if somebody comes to you and tells you something, whether or not you believe it's true, if they have the courage to come to you and say, this is happening to me, take that seriously. I can't tell you how many times I've had adults that I talked to that tried to tell someone what happened to them, and they were dismissed. They were told, no, you don't say anything about that. No, you so-and-so is part of the family. You're not supposed to say anything, so I just want to stress that if it's a family member that you're trying to, and they're dismissing you and they're not, then reach out to someone in a church, reach out, because there is someone out there that will help you. There is someone that, will show you love and show you compassion and help you. Because I think that's so important that we have to know is God's love is all around us. It's all around us in different people, in different circumstances. And you can pray for God's love and his angels will show up around you for sure.
Jody, it's so amazing that you just said that, because when I was 14, I had 2 little girls that I was babysitting for who came and told me that their neighbor, who was 73 years old, had been molesting them. Mm. And I have chills just talking about it.
I do too.
I have no idea why they came to me, but they felt safe and they trusted me, and nobody in their world was listening to them.
Right.
And they ended up, with my help, telling their parents, and they asked me to testify to what they had told me. And this man went away for doing that to them. And their courage,
yes.
their bravery,
yes,
reaching out to, I wasn't a stranger. I was loving on them and caring for them and watching them, and I was a part of their life. But my goodness, how honored was I? How privileged do I feel to be able to intercede and to be able to stop evil from happening.
Right.
So for anybody who's listening, if you're going through something like that, there is somebody that will listen. There is somebody that will fight for you and protect you and love on you and make sure that doesn't continue.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%, because people need to know they're loved. I talk about that all the time. People need to know they're loved, and they need to know that they are not alone. So tell us, what is the next steps for you? Where is Bryn? I know you said you're going to be speaking on stages and motivational speaking. I know you just went to Hawaii. You did the same exact retreat that I did. The future is female, which is an amazing experience. Tell me a little bit about how going to Hawaii helped you go to the next level in your mindset and in your life.
I think the biggest thing was, number one, going against the grain, going against anything and everything I've ever believed, ever thought about myself, just changing my mindset in an even bigger way than I have been the last 6 months, and really getting vulnerable and really allowing other people to sit in that vulnerability with me, and to drop my guard, and to allow God to use a situation where I felt at first completely confused and scared and unsafe, to turning it around and feeling loved in a way I've never felt.
Yes.
And allowing God to really speak into my life and to show me through other people, through his word, through circumstances, that I really can do anything that I set my mind to, and that's according to his will. And being there and literally sitting down and mapping out what I was going to do with my autobiography or my biography, whatever you call it, my story.
Yeah.
What the next steps were, how I was going to get that out, how I was going to take that to the next level. I'm in a job right now that I adore the work. I love, it's profound work, but I don't see how to level up from there.
Right.
So my goal, my plan, my dream is to take that, to get a coaching certificate, to start writing my second book, to take that and turn it into a coaching program, take that and start doing seminars, take that and start doing retreats, workshops about faith, about relationships, about finding someone's purpose, because that's how we truly live.
That's right.
That's how we, that's how we glorify God. And taking that and, like I said, someday being on that stage with you and with others.
Yes, girl. Yes, yes. Well, Bryn, I just love you so much, and I appreciate you coming on here and telling your story of true survival, of true faith over fear. I know I've talked to you a lot of times about different things, and you have put faith before fear. You have pushed through, and it has been absolutely amazing to watch your journey. So is there any final thoughts that you want to say to anyone listening as we go ahead and close out?
Just that anything is possible if you believe it, and if you decide that you are going to do something, knowing that God's plan is perfect, and that he causes and creates divine appointments in your life. And if you would just listen, if you would just take a moment to be still, to get quiet, and to allow him to work in you and through you, and allow other people to speak into your story. That's where the miracles happen. That's where the beauty comes from. And faith is not always easy to have. Blind faith is even harder. It's a lot harder. But man, I think the last thing that I want to say is stand up, show up, and lean in.
Yes, I love that. Yes. Thank you so much for being here, girl. I love you and I appreciate you. And anybody that's listening that wants to know how to find you, tell us how they can connect to you and follow you on social media.
So I'm on Facebook, Bryn Janine Holte. I have a blog called redemptioncalling.com. And I'm on Instagram. My username on that is Closer to Home. And hopefully soon I'll be getting a website. And my book will be out, hopefully by the end of the summer.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Yay. Well, girl, I love you, like I said before, and I appreciate you. And I thank you guys for listening and watching. My name is Jody Paar, and you can follow me on social media under Jody, Jody Paar, Paar, on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm under the Jody Paar. I'm on Twitter, but I'm trying to tweet. So I believe it's Jody Paar that I'm under Twitter as well. Or you can go to my website to order my book that is behind me, Breakout Silent Soldier, which is all about me escaping human trafficking and being on the run after. That website is Jody, Jody Paar, Paar.com. Thank you so much for listening. Love to you all. Have a blessed week, and we will hear you or see you next time. Bye-bye.